Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Making the Grade podcast. Tonight's guest is Abel Castaneda. He's the owner of Apex Advantage Bookkeeping, and he is deeply driven by relationships and community. He believes that business isn't just about numbers, it's about people, growth, and having the right support around you. His mission is to help business owners feel more confident, supported, and in control of their financial journey. We are so excited to have you here tonight, Abel. I am solo tonight. This is Georgia, and Christine couldn't make it, but I'm really excited to dive in and hear more about your story, Abel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm so happy to be following you on TikTok and meeting you too. So yeah, thank you.
Love that. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, we met on TikTok, which is so funny. I have like a love-hate relationship with social media, but for me, the purpose of social media is to connect with people that I wouldn't otherwise meet. And so
Right.
this is a perfect example of that. I started following each other and started chatting. A couple months ago in January, we did a 1 hour planning session with you to help you kind of come up with some goals for the new year and come up with a little plan for that. So that was really fun. I got to learn more about you then,
Yeah.
and just stayed in touch since. And it's been great following along. Where are you talking to us from tonight, or talking to me from? I'm used to both of us being here, but
Yeah. I'm actually from Nebraska, so I always say right in the middle of the country.
okay.
So yeah.
I told you this once that I've been to almost every state on like this long trip that I did, but I missed Nebraska and I said I want to go do it and you told me I don't need to, but I do feel like I need to see it.
There's not a lot here unless you love football or something like that. Big
Yeah.
Red Cornhusker State.
We'll see. We'll see. We were just before we started recording, we were chatting about whether or not I have a Boston accent. And Abel said a little bit, maybe. So maybe anyone who's listening to this episode, I would love to hear if you think I or Christine have Boston accents. I try not to, but I think at the end of the day, where you grow up, you pick up on certain words. I remember one of my good friends from college, she's from Vermont, and she was making fun of the way I said hot. Like I think I said it like hut. Like, it's hot.
Uh,
Like a couple other words like that. So you just can't escape it sometimes.
don't escape it though. It's the personality and it's where you're from. So
That's true. That's true. Well, thanks for taking the time to be on the show. I think people can learn a lot from you. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about your background and kind of what led you to sitting here right now with me talking about your bookkeeping business?
yeah, I always reflect something that we've talked about too, but how did I get here? Type of conversation, right? So a little bit about me. I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years, but on two different paths. The beginning of my financial industry was talking about retirement accounts, pensions, different things like that within the corporate world. But even before that time frame, in my teenage years, I always wanted to start a business. Dreamt about it, tried to read books, but that was way back when we didn't have AI computers that made things a little bit easier now.
Right.
But also, I wasn't as risk averse as I am today. I get that opportunity to take some more risk today. So, kind of fast forward, I was working in the corporate world, and about 5 or 6 years ago, decided to let's try the whole starting a business thing. So I decided to start with the bookkeeping portion of it, and I was helping a construction company. And it was only one client, but one of the things that I found joy in was having that conversation with that client of talking about his numbers, being able to answer and educate. Because back in my corporate world, I was a trainer as well and helping people understand what their retirement is. Can't give advice, but I can at least help them understand what their goals may be. So it kind of just expanded from there, from building those skill sets and building my business. And now, like the introduction that you gave, I enjoy networking because that's one of the best ways you can learn. You may tell me something today that I may not use until 5 years from now, but it'll be back in the back of my head. And I've done that many times to where I'm able to help somebody because I intentionally listened to a conversation 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So,
I love that. We were talking to someone recently. I'm trying to remember the context. I think maybe it was a client, but about how listening is like a lost skill in some senses. I think
yeah.
always waiting, like we hear people, but we're always thinking about like, well, what am I going to say next to respond to this versus just
Mhm.
truly listening. Um, so it's great that that's something, a strength of yours, because I think I wish more people had that as a strength. Myself
But
included,
that's the thing.
I could work better on that, something.
Yeah. And it's always a work in progress. I have my moments of I'm excited. I want to speak because this happened, instead of just sitting back and giving your attention to that person. So,
Totally, totally. We recently started in the Boston area a monthly event. We call it Gather, and it's just a chance for professionals in the area. You can be in any industry. You can be, working for yourself, working for someone else. You can be looking for a job. And it's just a place for people to come together and like do just this, just chat and it's networking, I guess, but without any agenda, without any expectations.
yes.
It's just like a chance to just chat and connect and unwind and have a night out. And it's been one of like my favorite things that we've implemented this year because I've just met so many people that I otherwise wouldn't have. And to your
Yeah.
point, like just meeting people, maybe right now we don't have a reason to really keep in touch, but down the
Yeah.
line, I may be like, oh my gosh, that person told me this thing, or I need to reach out to them and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
One of the
very.
things about networking too that I've told some of my younger clients is really talking about when you go, don't go to make a sale. Go there to add value to that other person that you're talking to.
Yes.
And not necessarily, hey, this is what I can do for you if you sign up as a client. So
Right.
making a true connection, because in the future they may give you a referral, but why not make a human connection first?
Hmm. I
So
love that.
yeah,
So, making connections and talking and listening is definitely a strength of yours. And I think that, to be a successful business owner, you're going to call in the right clients if people can like see your personality and see that you're, someone that they want to talk to, want to connect with. So, you're doing great with that. What would you say? Obviously, we're all about executive function, and I would love to know maybe some other strengths of yours that you feel like have helped you in your business, and on the flip side, maybe some struggles that are things that you're actively working on all the time to help move your business forward.
I'm excited for this question because I wrote down some stats after our one-on-one meeting and the results that have come already from it. So just because I'm excited, I'm going to start with the things that I struggled with. One of the things that I struggled with was being connected with my phone all the time, checking emails or getting on TikTok, and all of a sudden you death scroll for 3 hours and you don't know where the time went. And all of a sudden now I'm stressed out and overwhelmed because I didn't work out throughout the day, right? When after we talked, I looked, I think it was 13 hours on my phone. Uh, yeah. And some of that may be cheating because I'll listen to music and that counts within the number. But I looked at it right before we jumped on the podcast and I'm down to 6 hours. And some of that is just music. So it's down 68% from when we talked last time. So imagine the amount of productivity that I've been able to do over the last month or so since we've met. So
Yeah.
I want to take the opportunity to thank you to at
Oh,
least allow me to refocus and create those opportunities. So
that's amazing. That's exactly why we do this, is to just help people have, productivity. I think it can have like pros and cons to the word productivity, right? Some people are like, well, I don't want to be productive all the time. I don't want to, and you don't have to be. But the point is that when you are using your time well and productive in those blocks of time, then you end up having more time for yourself to do
yeah,
other things that bring you joy that aren't necessarily work related. So our whole point of this is to give people time back in their lives to use however they want to. And so I'd imagine if you're spending less time scrolling and you're spending more time getting meaningful work done, you're like
yeah,
at the end of the day, wow, I actually feel good. I can relax a little bit more than I could before because I got more
yeah,
done than I had, used to.
yeah. There is less overwhelmed feeling because of the opportunity. And actually, at the end of the day, there's so many days that I feel like, well, I didn't get anything done, but I worked all day. So what happened? Well, I
Mhm.
was scrolling on TikTok for most of it, but subconsciously I didn't recognize it. Um,
Right. because it was
So
so habitual.
yeah,
I always tell everyone like everything is a habit, down to, the thoughts you're thinking throughout the day and, the things you do subconsciously, everything is a habit and it's not your fault either. We have these devices attached to us and, I
yeah,
think anyone watching this or listening to this is going to resonate and it's hard. I'm actively working on it all the time and when you do use your phone for work and for pleasure, it's hard to separate the two. Um,
right.
and we do get that dope. But a phone scroll is much more fun usually than a spreadsheet or whatever work you're supposed to be doing. So your brain wants that dopamine. It wants to scroll and have fun. And I'm curious, is there anything you implemented to help with the scrolling that you want to
Yeah. Well, number one of the things that we talked about that I implemented as soon as we hung up was making sure my phone was across the room. My phone would be right next to me. So
share?
I would scroll all night until 2 in the morning sometimes and then be up by 5. So now I'm only getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I'm not going to say that I'm getting more sleep because my mind's still going, but that in the morning, I'm not grabbing my phone any longer. It is a matter of intentionally getting up, getting ready for the day. And because there's opportunities to where I would grab my phone, again, scroll for 30 minutes and 30 minutes goes by and it's too late. I'm not going to go work out now. So now
Mhm.
I'm missing my workout, and then you just started the day wrong. And I'm
Yeah.
starting the day correctly more often.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect, right? I still have a lot of work to do, but more often, which is great. So,
I love that. And I think that's an important distinction to make too, right? Like a habit, if we're trying to form a better habit or tweak a habit we already have, usually, there's always exceptions, but usually going cold turkey or trying to just like start completely over, like usually that doesn't work because your brain wants repetitive things to happen. So if you try to drastically change something too soon, you're more likely to just revert back to exactly how things were. Whereas if you do things a little bit slower and give yourself grace and don't have to be so black and white about it. There's always a gray area. That's kind of the sweet spot to create sustainable change.
yeah,
Um, so, I wouldn't expect you to be down to 0% of screen time or to be like, every single day I'm doing this. Like,
right.
that's not human. So,
I was going to say, all of a sudden, I'm Superman getting everything done, never looking at my phone.
I mean, if so, you're gonna share your secrets. So,
Exactly.
um,
Another thing that I found interesting and an unintentional tool, I helped my sister move and she gave me her Alexa because she wasn't using it any longer. And now it's just a matter of just saying start some music versus grabbing my phone. It's that simple because I grab my phone now, start scrolling versus start turning on the music. So keeping my phone away from me just because there's another device I can say, do this. And now I have the noise that I need to be able to not just have silence.
I
So,
love that. That is a really
yeah.
good hack. I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've picked up my phone to like start music and then 10 minutes goes by and I'm like, what was I even doing? Because now I'm
Exactly.
doing something else.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Shout out to your sister for helping
Yeah.
you with that. That's awesome.
Definitely unintentional, but it's worked so much. So that's another thing that's helped me.
I love that. I love that. That's really cool. Another benefit to AI. We're not going to go
Yeah.
down the pros and cons of AI today, but that is a very cool one.
Yeah. Use it in moderation.
Exactly.
Um, to kind of finish your question, though, I want to make sure I get back to the positive because this is all positive, but it was starting with the negative.
Mhm.
When I took your quiz, when you guys originally reached out to me, I am a reflector, and I was right on with that. It is something to where I will reflect, and I'm able to dive deep into a project work. But by doing that, I will feel overwhelmed. So I need to make sure I break it down. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that resonated with me is a reminder of it. I
Mhm.
tell people I can coach people and say that, but doing it myself can be difficult. So being able to get that reminder was very helpful.
Good.
So
I love that. We were just talking about this, Christine and I, because it's the end of the quarter. So we try to be reflective all the time, but it's hard. So definitely at the end of the quarter, we like to reflect on, okay, how did the past 3 months go? What's going on now? And it's so funny because even as someone who, helps people do this all the time, it's so hard to do it for yourself. And you can easily just, I don't know, start seeing things through rose-colored glasses and you're like, no, I'm doing everything right. Like, what's going on? And so Christine and I are very lucky to have each other because even though we're very similar and we do most of the same things all the time for work, I need her to say, hey, I think there's some friction going on and this is why. And I'm like, oh gosh, you are so right. I didn't see it till I had you as an outsider to kind of point
Yeah.
that out to me. And sometimes it needs to be someone, not necessarily your partner or like someone really close to you, because those are the people that you are like, no, you're wrong. But,
Yeah.
if someone comes to you as a coach or someone in business to kind of point it out, it's like can be kind of eye-opening.
It can be. And one of the things that, as you were talking, resonated with me is we also have to let our ego go because we can hide what we already know what we need to work on
Yes,
with that person that needs to provide us that feedback that we need. So if we put our ego aside and just say, okay, this is me, this is what I've been doing, you will get accurate feedback, which will make you better. So,
totally. And we all have goals and you want to reach your goals, but we always use the metaphor of you know, to reach a target with an arrow, you got to pull it back first, and then
yeah.
it's more likely to reach the goal, reach the target. And so it's the same thing if you think of it that way. Like sometimes you just got to get out of your own way, and if you don't
Hmm.
reflect, you might be the reason that you're not, making it where you're trying to go in your
Yeah.
business or in any part of life.
Yeah.
No,
One of the
that's
questions I ask my clients on our monthly meeting is, what have you done over the last month or over the last week to move your business forward? And a lot of them are like, well, I haven't done anything. It could be as small as cleaning out your inbox so you gain some additional clarity. It doesn't have to be cold calling 20 or 30 people. It can be small steps to move your
yeah.
business forward. And a lot of us think it has to be grand, and it doesn't.
Yes. No, that's so true. That's really important. It's sometimes the smallest little tweaks that can make the biggest difference in your overall day to day.
Right.
Um, and tell me a little bit more about what you do day to day for work. I know you're not an accountant, but I know you deal with finances and it is tax season, so I'm assuming you're probably really busy right now. So tell us a little bit more about what you do day to day. You kind of already talked a little bit about some habits that help you during your
Mhm.
busy times, but if there are any more habits that help you thrive during these busy times, feel free to share those too.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm out of Grand Island, Nebraska. I'm currently in Lincoln, Nebraska today because I'm networking and working with an accountant who does taxes. And one of the reasons why is that accountability. If I'm working in her office and she's working in the office, we have to get work done. There's no reason for me to drive 2 hours and not do anything. So not only am I learning things from somebody else that has additional knowledge, but also holding each other intentionally and unintentionally accountable of making sure things get done. But on a daily basis, the question is, it depends on the day. The standard bookkeeping, making sure that I have all information from my clients,
Mhm.
meaning if I have a transaction that I'm about to categorize, but I don't know what it is, making sure I communicate with them. And those are systems that are set in place using software. I use software to be able to reach out to them instead of giving them a call to save me some time.
Mhm.
Um, wow, I completely drew a blank right now. So that would save me some time, as well as where my business has taken me, and I'm so excited for it, but shocked at the same time, is I am gaining clients to do their bookkeeping, but now I'm getting paid also to do presentations. So tomorrow I get to drive to another town and do a presentation with daycare providers regarding a tax credit that we have in the state of Nebraska, making sure they're educated so they can educate others. And that's what really fills my bucket, and not the X's and O's, I guess you could say, the numbers all the time. I do enjoy problem solving, but if I'm able to educate somebody, that's what brings me joy and helps me move my business forward.
I love that. And I remember when we chatted in January, you had kind of just formed this partnership, if you
Yeah,
will, daycare. And so that's really cool that that's happening tomorrow. I love that.
Yeah, it went from a 1 day training to a 3 day training. So this is the third day of it. So,
Cool. Well,
and then
that's huge. They saw the need. They wanted you to keep coming. I love that.
yeah. So I'm excited and I'm happy with the way it's
Hmm.
the outcome. So
Amazing. When we work with clients, a lot of when we do individual coaching, a lot of the people we work with are entrepreneurs. Not all of them, but a lot are. Some have teams, some don't. And we kind of help them create better systems for themselves. And sometimes they're able to solve most of their problems by just having better systems. But sometimes it is important that they outsource because there's a task that they're spending too much time on that maybe isn't their area of expertise, that the system should be you give this to someone else to do and you check in with them. That does happen from time to time. And I am curious what advice you would have for maybe any entrepreneurs or really anyone out there listening to this that is like, wait a minute, maybe I could use a bookkeeper. Like what value can you bring to someone's life who might be feeling a little bit stressed about keeping track of all that stuff?
I think there's two answers to that. If you're brand new and can't afford a bookkeeper to help keep track of the books, start
Mhm.
with a good foundation. Reach out to an entrepreneurship center. We have one in Grand Island. Reach out to nonprofit organizations that focus on business that may be able to help you because you need that good foundation of bookkeeping to understand where your numbers are. As you continue to grow, that's when definitely outsource. And that's where you can focus on the other parts of your business. And myself and my team would be able to come in, keep track of your books. And it isn't just making sure books are organized for the end of the year. We like to have that monthly conversation of talking about here's the performance. This is how you perform. So reflection. Um,
Mhm.
this is how you're performing and what have you done to increase your revenue or look at these expenses, they seem to continue to increase. um, why is that? Asking the why. I say I'm a 5 year old. Why is it that way? Why is it that way? So they can reflect and understand and question the critical thinking within their business so they can make the moves they need to continue to grow.
Mhm. Amazing. I love that. I feel like everyone's been saying that lately. Explain it to me like I'm five. And it resonates with me so much because I literally used to work with 4 and 5 year olds. And so when I hear that, I go back to like my days in the classroom and they're asking questions all the time. And you truly have to break it down so simply. And sometimes that's what we need to understand a concept and actually be able to use it in our lives. So
And
cool.
I think that's my skill set. At least that's where I find the joy of being able to break it down and just have a normal conversation without using the jargon that's out there.
It's really important, especially for something regarding your books and your taxes. And that's an area that I do not excel in. And I could take the time to learn about it and do it, but that would not be a good use of my time. Having someone who can explain it to you confidently and simply is so important because that's going to form the trust, right? Like I want to work with someone who can explain it to me in a way that makes me feel like I'm in good hands and they don't make me feel stupid for not knowing something. So um, that is a huge strength of yours to have in your business for sure.
Thank you. And then it's also having the hard conversation of like expenses. We need to reduce the expenses. What are we doing
Yeah.
to be able to do that? And one of the things that again, a skill set I feel I have is the forward thinking.
Mhm.
I always tell my clients, this is your business, but I'm going to throw ideas at you. Feel
Yep.
free to ignore them because this is your decision, but I want to make sure you have everything that I can provide you.
Yeah, I love that. Um, it sounds like you, how long have you been a bookkeeper for again? Remind me. I know you said this.
About 5 years, 6 years.
Cool. Do you come across a lot of fellow bookkeepers, and is there any kind of advice you would give them regarding executive function that you think could help them? Or maybe a bookkeeper who's just starting out right now. Like, what advice would you give them as they're kind of setting out on this journey regarding being organized and working on their time management and all of that?
One, stay organized because if you have a messy desk, you have a messy mind and you need to free up that mental space
Yeah.
and have that support system. I'm lucky enough to have bookkeepers in my life out of different states that we talk to and able to bounce ideas off of each other.
Hmm.
So build a community around you, work with CPAs to be able to they want to teach you too, because if they receive a set of books that are dirty, I guess for lack of a better way of saying that, they're going to, most of them will try to educate you so the next year it doesn't look as bad. So if you're starting out, it is okay to make a mistake, but don't make it twice. Research it and find out what the proper way is. And it's okay. Ask the question, be that 5-year-old, why? Why? So
Yep.
understand the behind the scenes.
I love that. Be the 5-year-olds. That is a good takeaway for a lot of reasons. 5-year-olds, they have so much curiosity in life and
Yeah.
they're themselves fully. I love, I miss working with kids sometimes, but working with adults is fun too.
Yeah.
Do you have any habit that you want to share that is like makes your life so much better? And it doesn't have to be like trendy or exciting. It's just something that works for you. My weird habit is talked about this recently, and so many people have told me I'm so strange for it. But when I work out, I don't like to listen to music. I like it to be silent. And I think you're shaking your head. You think I'm a psychopath too. I'm not, I promise. I'm always overstimulated between like work and my 1-year-old and just all the things that a workout to me is like a yoga class. And it's even if I'm lifting weights or on the treadmill, I want quiet. I don't know, it just works for me. And it helps me feel even more ready to go do other things. Again, I think I'm the minority here, but that's the point. It's not trendy. It's not exciting. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to get someone else to do it. It just works for me.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Um, what works for me, and again, it's a work in progress. I've been doing it for a while. Anybody that's working from home. So again, back to that bookkeeper question. A lot of us work from home because we don't need a brick and mortar. Every morning, I will go, one of my clients, I go get the mail and their checks out of their mailbox. So that's my way of going to work. So I will get up, do my workout, things like that, but then go to work by going to the mailbox and coming home. So mentally, that's going to work. Also, if for some reason I have to skip the post office, it's putting on shoes to
Mhm.
go to the office next door and getting to work. Those are the hacks or whatever you want to call that to mentally prepare myself for work every morning.
I love that. It's just like a signal to your brain that like, okay, we are moving on from my
Yeah.
your morning, however your morning was, and we're getting into work mode. I think that's a really important thing that anyone who works from home should have, that distinction of and I think a lot of us think, oh, it has to be like a different area of the house or it has to be this. And sometimes it is a physical space, but it could just be a trigger like that,
Yeah.
something that you're training your brain to get you in the right mindset. So I think that's a really cool hack that I feel like people could implement in many different ways that work for.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
I love that. That's like my favorite question to ask people because our, entire foundation of our business is that everybody is different. And so
Yeah.
systems are only systems if they work for you. Don't let anyone try to tell you you have to do it their way because that's not necessarily true. So, um,
Agree.
very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's no wrong way. It's the way I do it.
there's no wrong way. Exactly. What would you say to anyone listening to this who's feeling maybe burnt out, overwhelmed, whether they're a business owner or just, consumed in the corporate world or
Yeah.
teacher, anyone who's just feeling really overwhelmed and burnt out, what advice would you give them?
Find that person that will listen and not really and let them know up front, I don't need you to solve this. I just need you to listen. Um, One of the best things I think I've learned through time is, hey, you can call me anytime to vent and just let me know, do you want a response or do you want me just to listen to you?
Mhm.
And I feel so many people just need that to be able to vent and have that space.
Yeah,
Um, and then it's a reset for them. Okay, I fixed this problem just because I was able to talk it out, or now I feel better, I can get back to work, whatever that may be. But
that's
every person needs somebody to listen.
that's so true. I love
Yeah.
this full circle from how we started this conversation, but it's so true. I'll tell my husband a lot, like, hey, I need to share something with you, but like right now, I don't want you to problem solve. I just need you to hear me. I need you to hear what's going on in my mind because I don't want to solve the problem right now. Like
Yeah.
I know I don't want to stew in this forever, but in this moment, I just need to get this out.
Yeah.
And yes, having someone that you can do that with is huge. I really like that question of, okay, I'm going to listen now, and afterwards, do you want me to respond or just kind of hold space for you? And I think
Yeah.
that's a good question to get in the habit of asking, thinking of habits.
And don't get me wrong, it's hard because I'm a fixer. So if somebody's going to bring something to me, deep down in my core, I'm like, but we can do this.
Right.
And that's not what anybody needs. So,
And they might need they'll come around to it, right?
right,
They'll after they, get everything out.
right.
Um, Speaking of my husband, I want to connect him with you because he's needing a bookkeeper potentially. And if there's anyone listening to this that maybe needs a bookkeeper, what's the best way for them to find you? Is it, we'll put everything in the show notes, but you can share it out now too, the best way for people to get in touch.
Well, the easiest way, unintentionally, is the QR code on the screen. Will go to my website, have my phone number and email address. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. One of the things I also enjoy because it isn't all about money, if somebody just has a simple question, reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to provide value to you. So yeah,
Cool. I
QR
love that.
code.
I love the QR code. It's so cool. We were going to do Google Meet and then we did Zoom. And so Abel wasn't even meeting to have this up, but I love learning I would say this is a hack. I'm gonna start doing this because it's so easy. If someone watches this, it goes right to your
Yeah.
website. It could not be easy.
Yeah.
Um, awesome, Abel. Well, thank you so much for chatting tonight. And yeah, look forward to following along on your journey and staying in touch. And I'm sure people are gonna get a lot of value from this and enjoy following along as well. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. This was fun.
Awesome. Have a good night.